Hello. We are live. I still always want to sing that Six musical style. We are live. I am not sure where my cohorts are. Apparently they're running late again. Yep, I'm going with cohorts this week for how to describe them. Um, I talked to Karen earlier, um, and I talked to both of them on Friday, and they were both planning on being here. So, hopefully they'll be here shortly. Um, but in the meantime, you've got me. I am still getting everything set up. I literally just came running in here with my laptop and my second monitor that I use, um, because I had promised my kids that if they did some extra stuff around the house beyond their regular chores, I would do some extra stuff with them. And so we were playing a game of Minecraft that my 9-year-old was essentially DMing like it was um, a D&D campaign, or um, directing like it was a play, or I don't know what way you want to say it, but he wanted us to write this whole story of this Minecraft game that we were in. He's I say DMing because he's playing a Crystal King. Hi. I was
Hi.
just telling everybody about what I was doing before I came in here.
Oh, well, sorry, I'm running a bit late. I'm trying to set stuff up, and I was actually watching a Facebook Live of another small business owner I know. So ru- running a
I'm also
little.
still eating.
Oh,
Well,
there you go.
I literally got on to start it like 3 minutes before 7. So I was like, I hope that nobody was trying to get on our Zoom call earlier than that, but neither of you were here yet. So I was like, probably not. Um, but no, I was just saying that I had promised the boys that if they got some extras done beyond their regular chores, some specific things that I had mentioned to them that I was like, this isn't required, this isn't your usual stuff. It would help me out, but it's not required. But if you want to do it and you get this extra stuff done, I will let you guys each choose a specific game or activity for us to do together, that I'll set aside like a couple of hours for, as a, you know, semi yes day sort of thing. Not like I have veto power in the sense that like no spending money and nothing dangerous, but even if it was something that I typically don't enjoy doing with them, or would only spend a little bit of time on or whatever, that like I'll set aside a couple of hours for them. And so 9-year-old was doing that today, and um was playing we were playing Minecraft, but it was in this world that he is essentially treating as though he's DMing it like it was a D&D game. Um, because he's like, I'm a character and 11-year-old's a character, and then 9-year-old is being every other character. So I was like, oh, so you're the DM. And he
Sounds
was like,
about right.
and then he's like, yeah, what's the problem with that? I was like, nothing. I was observing it. He's like, you said it like it's a problem. I was like, nope. I said it like I was identifying, oh, this is what you're doing. That's it. And we have a Karen.
Yay.
So yeah, I'm still eating supper because I was playing that with them, and it's hard to do that and eat tacos while playing Minecraft because those are both very two-handed kinds of things. So I don't know if I'm going to get to have my crafts or not. It depends on how quickly I eat my tacos.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I was
Welcome
reading the last pages of the chapter.
of the end of the book as we know it, and literally as it's written.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's what I was doing. Mm.
these tacos have been sitting just a little too long now.
Yeah, you got to hurry up and eat those.
All right. And I'm going to like try to be a good little girl and mute when I'm taking bites because as I was chewing that, I was like, oh, that loud.
Oh, this looks horrible. I'm just gonna have to start from scratch.
What looks horrible?
I'm designing my background for my bookmarks, my Valentine's Day bookmarks. And the way I did it is cut severe chop lines where I cut and pasted, and I'm trying to like carefully draw them, but my freehand is horrible. And there's no way to line it up anywhere in the picture. So
Um, do we need to get together to work on it where you can use my software that might make it a little easier to work on it?
I've got a good software. I'm just really horrible at the software. Uh,
Still, if you want to get together, let me know.
I will. If I can't figure it out during this book club meeting,
Okay.
I'll get back to you. All right, let's try something different. Anyway, so that's what I'm working on. I'm working on my bookmarks.
I'm in one of my modes where I know like what I have for working on for crafting stuff and for business stuff, but also I kind of just want to write.
I'm fine with that as long as you don't clack clack.
Well, see, it's a hard thing to do and maintain a conversation at the same time. They both use words. Crafting and talking at the same time, like they use different parts of the brain. I can do that. But talking and writing at the same time, I'm going to start just being like, and actually I'm really more editing right now, so I'll just be like, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Right?
It's just where my brain is, where it wants to hyper focus.
I'm gonna have to do it by hand. All right. It's
So
gonna take a while.
some business updates really fast, which I
Yay!
am in the middle of getting a blog post written about, so I should have that posted tomorrow. And I'm saying that out loud live online to keep myself accountable to actually do that. Because the amount of blog posts that I start writing, I think I have like 5 blog post drafts, at least 4 of which are so out of date that I save them because I might use a concept from them, but the actual thing I was writing just doesn't even apply to anything anymore. But anyway, I have to actually finish this one to get it posted tomorrow. But basically, and I had already told you to most of this, but we have our stuff done being all filed with the state, and the paperwork that we were waiting so desperately for from the state has come. We're getting our business account set up with our suppliers, and we should have our supplies coming soon, within the next week to 2 weeks, depending on how long shipping takes from some different places to be able to start getting things made. So unfortunately not in time for Valentine's Day like we wanted to, but we will start having things made soon, and I'm really excited for it. And we also, I got my registration put in with the town today also, because you have to register with the town and with the state and with the federal government and with everybody, every single person. I'm like, let me, go register with like my neighbor or something, because like it starts to feel like every single person needs you to register.
Right.
But I think we've got all the different registrations done now. We've got uh pretty much everything set as far as that part goes, and we're just waiting for our orders to come so that we have our supplies so we can start making our things and start selling our things.
Nice.
I'm excited. So, meanwhile,
Um,
mhm.
Reminder that today is my shop's official 3rd anniversary
Yay!
since I first officially set up my Etsy shop. I think honestly, this past year I've mostly sold at craft fairs, and as I've been talking about on my lives on my shop, if I between craft fair table prices And what I've sold, I managed to come out ahead about $50 this year. So nice. Gave some little profit. That makes me feel better when I can always come out ahead of the table costs.
I did not this year, but that is okay.
My video was set to public when I hit go live, and now it's telling me comments are not available on private videos.
Well, that's fun.
And I refreshed it and suddenly it has the chat there. So,
All right. Guess
Okay.
it's just being weird.
yep. All right. So yeah. End of Little Women, guys.
Yes. That was quite an end.
It really was.
That last chapter is long.
Long and not only that, it's like a huge time skip. Like,
Yeah, it's like 7 years. Seven
it's
years, I think.
it's a lot of I'm not writing any more of this, so let me just tell you. Guess what? She
It's a
wrote more.
wrap up, is what it
'Cause
is.
there are 2 more books.
It's a wrap up.
But yeah, it's just a general. This is the end of this, and so let's just give you a quick glimpse into the future.
Now I don't have any outlines for my shapes. I don't know what I did. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna hit mute again so I can eat more taco while somebody talks about what happened in chapter 46.
don't let Karen do it because Karen always skips everything.
Okay. Do you want to do it, Karen?
Yeah, sure. So we start off with it talking about how Joe is constantly going for walks with Mr. Bear as he constantly visits and ends up at their house for tea afterwards, and then all of a sudden he just stops coming. And after 3 days she heads into town and she's quite upset, but she's also still searching for him. And they meet up and she drags him shopping. She forgot her umbrella. He's using his to keep her dry. As the chapter's called something about an umbrella.
Under the umbrella.
Under the umbrella. And then he starts to talk about how he's actually is leaving, and she thought he was leaving. He had already left. But he actually is leaving for a job out west. And this saddens her, and they talk. And then he proposes in the most like weird way. And I was very much reminded of my own proposal at this point. And basically he's just like, I love you. And she's like, I love you. He didn't even say I love you. He's like, he said, do you have space in your heart for me as more than a friend? Something like that. Like, can I be more than a friend to you? And she said yes. and that is how they got together / engaged at the same time.
Meanwhile, I just have to jump in and say my husband and I went to the opposite extreme where, and I was just thinking about this when I was editing a book today, a fan fiction that I wrote a year ago and haven't touched since, which is what I was editing earlier. But I wrote not a proposal, a beginning of a romantic relationship, beginning of dating, essentially, in the way that my husband first started talking to me about it, which was, I have loved you for a very long time. And I was like, because that's how we start dating. Except we didn't even really start dating because we didn't actually go on a date until after we were like out on a date together until we were already engaged. Because we just do everything out of order.
Yep. Yep. No. No. I can do that. Me and my husband, and when he first asked me out to go to Olive Garden with him, and then he had to go, or he said we'd go to Olive Garden after he got back from visiting his sister for Halloween, and then our friends kind of shoved us together and said, "Okay, I guess we're dating," and then we didn't go to Olive Garden for our date until after we were married.
In our defense, we had known each other for 5 years already. And at the
Um,
point that we finally started talking about dating, courting, we were calling it courting because that's kind of what we considered it, because we were like, really, we want to see if we're compatible for marriage. And neither of us had ever had a boyfriend, girlfriend before. Um, and I had known that he had liked me for 5 years. And I had spent most of that time avoiding him only because I was not interested in him and I didn't want to accidentally make him think I liked him. And because I wasn't interested, but he's a nice guy. I didn't want to hurt him either. And he knew that I wasn't interested in him and waited until he could tell that I was. Um, and I I have made a point because I love Pride and Prejudice. You two know this about me. Probably people who have watched any more than this one stream or had any more than maybe two conversations with me ever know this about me. I love Pride and Prejudice. I love Jane Austen in general. Um, I do not love having every relationship in which somebody initially does not want to be with somebody and then later does, compared to Lizzie and Darcy. Because it's not the same thing if they just aren't interested and then are, as if they are offended by them and set about like actively trying to hate them and then ultimately find out that they both had too much pride and too many prejudices and they had to learn how to grow and be better people and that they're actually ideally suited for each other. It's a very different thing. And I made a point because I was not interested in Jonathan, but I could not say I never would be. So I made a point of saying anytime that like it came off with anybody, like I'm just not interested in him right now. He's a nice guy, but I'm not interested in him right now. I don't know what might happen in the future, but I don't want to make him think that I'm interested when I'm not and end up hurting him. It didn't matter. As soon as we got together, people were still like, "Hey, remember how you used to avoid him and try not to, and now you like him and ha ha ha." And I was just like, "What's wrong with you? You listen to anything people say?"
Nope.
So many people. I was just like,
I was trying to think of a relationship that might be more suited than Elizabeth and Lizzie
and
and Mr. and for some reason Emma and Mr. Darcy Emma popped
in
in my head.
in so many ways, he is my Mr. Darcy because he is extremely introverted and socially awkward and doesn't always understand what people in society are doing and clings to the thing that was said to him that this is what it's supposed to be until like it's not that he can't change his mind or see something from a different perspective. It's just that um he sees things in a very black and white way. So he needs help to see, oh, there might be a different perspective. And once he sees that, he's like, oh, okay. Then he can accept that. Um, and there's a reason that I strongly uh think that Mr. Darcy has is on the autism spectrum, but in so many ways he's my Mr. Darcy, but I am a combo of Lizzie, Jane, and Charlotte, and I'm not quite any of them. But I definitely am not Lizzie's. I'm Lizzie's sarcastic self, but I'm not her laugh at the follies of other people self. Um, I'm Lizzie's sarcastic and take joy out of life self, and Jane's assume the best in everyone, and Charlotte's what's the word I'm looking for? Practical tendencies. And I am an imperfect combination of those. Like, just saying it that way makes it sound like I'm trying to say that I have like the best of all of them, and I definitely don't. But I don't like making fun of people. I don't like I'll tease friends, but I don't get angry very easily. And when I do, even then I can usually see other people's sides of things. And that's something that Lizzie didn't have. And so there was never going to be a time that our relationship was like Lizzie and Darcy's. But I also think a lot I was going to say deeper, but more like people like to tell me that I overthink. I like to tell them that there's always the possibility that they're underthinking it, but they aren't necessarily thinking about all of those details like I am. So yeah. Anyway, now that I've gone way, way off on a whole different book, again, back to what you were saying, Under the Umbrella, he proposed in this. And what is it with these proposals that aren't proposals?
Right?
I know mine wasn't much of a proposal either. I said, "Hey, if I'd asked you to marry me, what would you have said?" And he said yes. So that was my proposal.
Mine wasn't much of an answer, in that when I'm put on the spot or caught off guard, and I was expecting it, and I had spent so much time trying to not let myself get my hopes up for it that I hadn't prepared myself to have an outward reaction to it. And I have to prepare myself to have an outward reaction, because when I'm put on the spot and I have not prepared myself for an outward reaction, I shut down instead. And all of my reacting happens internally, and externally, I just shut down. So he proposed, held up the ring, and will you marry me? And I went, yes. I held my hand down. I went, are you gonna put the ring on me? And he was trying to remember which hand, and I was like, well, that's the one that I was holding up to you. And like, that was, he had his sister was taking pictures of us, but she had actually hit record so that she could get it on video. And there's a video of it on Facebook of him. You can't really hear us, but he holds up the ring, and I'm just like, yep. Okay. And that's it. Just like no real reaction, because okay, sure. Like, people were like, that was not the real proposal. I was like, if it was a reenactment, I would have been way more over the top than that. Reenacting I can do. Acting in the first place. Enacting in the first place doesn't happen quite so much. But yeah, with I'm just thinking with him asking Joe, with Lori and Amy, did we see John ask Meg, or did we just find out that they were engaged? I can't remember now. It was like a year ago.
They talked about how he was gonna come back for her, and it was like planned that she was like, I don't think there was an actual proposal there.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's just that I'm just thinking about other books. Not to go back to Jane Austen again, but I know that that's often a complaint from Pride and Prejudice.
Well, maybe that's just how things were back then. There wasn't.
And that's what I'm wondering. I mean, this is a good 50 years apart from Pride and Prejudice. But that's why I'm wondering. If let me see. You are too generous to trifle with me. If your feelings are still what they were last April, tell me so at once. My affections and wishes are unchanged, but one word from you will silence me on this subject forever. Elizabeth, feeling all the more than common awkwardness and anxiety of the situation, now forced herself to speak, and immediately, though not very fluently, gave him to understand that her sentiments had undergone so material a change since the period to which he alluded as to make her receive with gratitude and pleasure his present assurances. That's their engagement. And I was trying to remember if in North and South, if the engagement is different. Because I can think of some of the others from different Jane Austen books, but anyway, not trying to derail it again. I'm just wondering if that was a thing to not write or to not say full. How did people communicate then? How did anybody figure anything out?
I do not know.
I'm Googling
it. Google it. All right. While she's googling, they manage after he proposes. They talk and they walk, and she enjoys getting to hear these little secrets, she calls them, of what he thinks now. And they end the chapter off with a kiss on the steps. That was cute. That was cute. Lisa, what are your thoughts on the chapter? You haven't talked much because we've been talking about our significant others, and you're not
I
married.
don't have one.
Well, you kind of have
You
one, but
have a
not
significant
married.
other, you're just not married.
You're just not married.
I thought that Joe's chapter under the umbrella was very much Joe. Um, I liked that a lot. Very stubborn. She didn't really want to admit she had feelings. And she pulled
Joe.
what any girl who's trying to deflect that they have feelings did, which totally threw off Mr. Bear. Which I feel slightly more comfortable with knowing that he was only 40 and she was like 23. Instead of like in his 50s, which is how I felt. Finally got
I
an
told
age
you like
on
12
him.
times that he was 40,
It's only
but you
about
didn't want
I
to listen
know.
to me.
Finally got an age. Made me feel better. Um, but yeah,
It is a huge age gap, but
yeah.
not uncommon for that time.
No. Like I said, it was very cute. I liked how after she did her errands, she helped him pick out stuff for like Tina from the boarding house, and it was really cute. Now the boys he was talking about though, those were like his boys, right?
Yeah, the ones his sister or his brother's kids, his nephews that he raised. Yeah,
Yeah.
the ones from the boarding house. They weren't his biologically, but he raised them.
Wait, the ones at the boarding house were ones that he raised? I thought that the ones that he had helped raised were back in Germany still. Sorry, I moved you guys over to that screen, so I keep looking over there to see you,
No,
but
I'm pretty sure that Emil and the other one were at the boarding house.
probably I I don't remember. I'm
So
not
long
I'm not
ago.
saying I think you're wrong about that. I'm saying, oh, I must have had that wrong.
Um,
I'm just not in a crafting mood tonight, which is so unlike me, but I'm just going into Minecraft.
Me too. Me too, but for very, very different reasons.
Yeah. But I'm gonna just go build stuff in Minecraft because it's crafting still.
That's the crafting. Um, for those who don't know, I joined a group on Minecraft, and now that's where I spend most of my time. Uh,
Those who don't know, which is everybody who isn't me and Lisa.
right. I just actually uploaded my first video this morning at 2 a.m. on my YouTube channel. And it's I'm
Sweet.
gonna promote the
What's
series.
your
Here.
what's your
It's
YouTube channel?
Pixie Girl 45, two X's. And
Same as
it's
your shop.
yeah, same as my shop. It's the Crafter SMP.
Love it. I'm making a bajillion what are these things called? Yeah.
Thanks.
Nope. Slabs.
Slabs.
I was like, I know this word, I swear I do. I'm making a bajillion slabs because I this is how I play Minecraft, okay? I like mining, so I don't typically like playing in creative mode. Sometimes I do, like if I'm in that mood, but typically I don't want to play in creative mode. But there are certain things that I don't like having to do over and over. So I always play with cheats on and slash give myself netherite tools because I just don't want to make the tools a bajillion times. And I like to go exploring to some degree, but I also like to be able to find my way back home. And so I often will slash locate all the different things that I'm interested in finding and make paths between them and then go explore them all. So I slash located a um yep, I swear I know words. Stronghold and TP'd to it and making a path back, except I've got to be at least halfway back, and it has been entirely across the ocean so far. And I ran out of slabs. If it was on land, I would be right-clicking with the shovel to make the path, at least if it was on dirt. But it's just on ocean. So
Gonna
I'm
take a
just
while.
making, yep. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing for most of the rest of the session is finishing making my way back from there.
Found
Oh,
it.
there.
Yeah, I found it. It says so. She says, Mr. K told me that he was from Berlin, very learned and good, but poor as a church mouse. He gives lessons to support himself and two little orphan nephews whom he is educating here, according to the wishes of
Okay.
his sister, who married an American.
See, like I said, I figured you probably were right because I really did not have much
I
memory of
didn't
that at
know
all.
either. I
I
thought he'd been playing with
I
them.
really I was thinking that it was just like the other people in the boarding house he was playing with or something, but I really just did not have a strong memory of that. So
Yeah, I didn't know if I was right either. I was like, were they? Did, we, did I just imagine it?
I don't know. Mr. Bear is like there's a lot that I like about the intent of Mr. Bear, Professor Bear, whatever you want to call him, but I feel like he's not exactly a quite fully formed character. And his whole personality is I know stuff and I'm happy. And that's it. That's the whole personality.
No, he takes joy in the little things. He doesn't need much. And he enjoys children and teaching, and he's a very kind-hearted soul. He's an old, calm soul to Joe's wild, tenacious soul.
Yeah. I mean, I all of that is said. I guess I just don't see it. Like I feel like there's not enough of actually seeing his personality as much to me, and it easily could just be me and my way of reading him. He just doesn't seem like I don't know, like he has a lot of depth to the character development. Um,
You're just watching me sit here trying to color. It's fine.
I mean, I'm just watching my Minecraft screens, so
Well,
um, but like it's not that I don't like Professor Bear or anything. It's just that
you're not sure how fully developed of a character he is.
well, I guess that's not even a fair way of saying things. When you don't get to see character development and change in a character, like nobody's perfect, and it tends to make it feel like you're only seeing surface level of them, to me at least, because nobody's perfect and things should change. It's the same issue I have with Around the World in 80 Days. One of the very, very few books that I actually prefer, not only prefer the movie, but prefer a live action Disney movie to the book. Because Phileas Fogg has absolutely no character development. The whole thing is like he goes and he does these things and he goes home and resumes his exact life with no changes whatsoever.
It does seem
Because
really
he
bad.
is steady of character is the point, but like steady of character is one thing, but you have to change. You can't just
I think one of the most dramatic changes in this whole thing is Joe. I think Joe probably changes the most.
you think Joe changes the most or Amy?
Amy, I don't
Amy
think she
grows up a lot in this book.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, in a lot of ways, Amy kind of has to change.
She's 11 when the book starts.
Yeah. Like an 11-year-old to an adult is going to have more visible change than a what 14-year-old to an adult, 15-year-old, however old Joe was when it started, I don't remember.
are we not going to talk about the fact that Amy broke the wait till 21 to get married rule?
I mean, you don't think there's a reason she got married before she came back from Europe?
Right? I'm pretty sure there was a reason.
All right, so
But
because we've only got about 20 minutes left, um,
oh wow, where did that go?
we're
Just
gonna
kidding. I know
start
where it went. I keep
talking about the
talking.
last and final chapter, um, which does a huge time skip. It talks about how over the next year, uh, Mr. Bear's out west and they correspond quite frequently. And then in the second year, it's a little more somber and it's a little more sad because they're getting tired of being apart. And then sadly, Aunt March passes away. And she leaves the house to Joe.
Of all people,
You
she
see
leaves
that
it to
coming?
Joe.
No, nobody saw that coming.
Yes and
Nobody expects a
no. I
Spanish
can kind
English.
of see that actually, because you got to remember that Joe in the beginning of the book went to hang out with Miss March, with Aunt March. Like that was her
I
thing.
mean,
She
she
didn't
was
like
paid
it.
to.
She was paid to, but at the same time, it's what she did. And the only reason that you would assume Amy is because of the way that Joe talked about with socializing and traveling the world and educating. That whole big conversation did have an effect on how Aunt March saw Joe. But then again, also Amy didn't need the house. She had her house with Lori already.
Yeah,
So who would be her next up for, you know, giving her home to? And that would be Joe.
yeah. And then Joe decides that she wants to make a school for boys, and that this has been her dream. She just needed a house, and now a house has fallen into her lap.
Ow.
That tied up nicely in a bow.
And nicely. So she and Mr. Bear then spend the next 5 years, when they get married, and then spend 5 years raising boys in this house, including two of their own. Um, and it's said that Amy has a daughter, and I think a son with crutches. It was
No,
mentioned.
that was just one of
Yeah.
Joe's boys that Amy was
Yeah,
watching.
the son with the boy with crutches was just one of the students.
Okay, I wasn't quite sure.
Amy
Um,
has struggled to carry pregnancies to term, and her one baby who has survived is sickly,
Is very frail.
and she named her Beth.
And she named her Beth.
which is sweet, but possibly also a curse.
It sounds curse like to me. Your name frail child Beth.
I
Good
mean,
luck with
I
that.
doubt that was she probably wasn't, born frail, or
Yeah, remember Beth
or
wasn't
they already
frail
had
until
her
after
name
they
picked
got
out
with
before
Bear.
she was born.
They probably did. The part that got me was really confusing was they said that Joe's second son is called Teddy, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
they
forgot.
have Ronnie and Teddy, right?
Robert.
Um, huh?
Robert after Joe's dad,
Okay. But that confused me
and then
because they
Teddy.
said I thought that they named Teddy after his dad, which confused me because Teddy was Lori's nickname, and I couldn't figure out if the child was
No,
uh
no,
No, it was
Robert, who they
Robert
called
after
Robbie.
her
Robert was
dad.
named after. Okay, I got really confused with that part. I read it twice or listened to it twice anyway, and I still couldn't make head or tails of the conversation. Oh my God. I did like the wrap up. I did feel like it was very brisk, very fast. I feel
Yeah,
like she
'cause
put a lot of information in a very short chapter because she spent you know, this huge chapter on Joe's proposal chapter, or engagement chapter. There we go. And then literally spent half the time on the next chapter, like half the amount of information in the next chapter.
yeah. So
Um,
after the 5 years has passed, it talks about how they always have holidays and events at the Joe's house, and one of them being an apple picking day, which apparently this year falls on Marmy's 60th birthday.
that made me
Um,
cry. I'll be honest.
yeah, it's a little sad. Um, and how everybody, after all the apple picking and the fun had been done, And apparently Joe just lets these boys run off with her baby Teddy, knowing he'll come back fine.
He'll be fine.
She raises those boys well. You gotta entrust them with something. What's an infant?
I, li- I liked her description of how like Mr. Bear had the idea the kids could eat anything.
They labored
in
under
her
the
own
German
shoe.
delusion. I just like the words labored under the German delusion.
Yeah. It
Like
was,
all
I
of their
thought that was hilarious.
Uh,
I love
yeah,
it. I definitely have some older family members, not of German descent, but some older family members of a very I don't think it's an uncommon New England concept to just think that the baby will be fine no matter what you feed them.
Here, random
they're very
question.
resilient.
In Krita, is there a way to turn a background transparent?
I don't know kind of well.
You would have to select the background
I
and
just
erase
can't.
it.
It's considered all one image.
Yeah, there's a magic tool. Looks like a little wand with like little spark at the end.
What do I do with this tool?
You click on what you consider to be the background. You may have to shift click to get all the pieces.
Oh, there we go. And then what do I do?
You hit the erase button and you erase it once you've selected it, and then you go behind it and you create a blank empty layer to keep it so that there's always a transparent layer behind it.
It won't let me erase.
I'll talk it through to you later.
You'll talk me through it later. Okay.
So
For now.
they have their um
Little birthday
apple
party.
picking and birthday party, and they talk about their little castles in the sky that they used to discuss when they were young at the beginning of the book, and what their lives actually came out as, and
How happy they are.
yeah, that it's okay if things don't always go according to those plans. And Meg says that hers probably came the closest to it, which I think Meg might have a little bit of revisionist history going on there.
Just a little bit.
Because hers involved wanting to essentially be a debutante.
Which Amy tried to be at one point.
Yep. That's something Amy and Meg always had in common. And then especially because she says, I always, I wanted a lot of nice things, but I always knew that I would be happy with my John as long, and I'm like, you didn't even know him when you guys were having that conversation.
Actually, she did. That was actually at the beginning of their relationship with John.
Yeah, when they were talking at the lake with Teddy, she already knew his tutor, John, at this point.
When they were first discussing their... And she what?
She may have had feelings for him at that point.
Yeah, but when they were first discussing their castles in the sky, I thought was before well, I think they discussed it more than once, but I thought that the first time that they discussed it was before before she knew him, but maybe not. At any rate, we have already established that my memory is not the best for this. But either way, she was definitely talking in it. What I do know is that it wasn't just she wanted some nice things. She was talking about a lot of very fancy things, and if she has some castle in the sky that she was going to be perfectly content with as long as she had her John, then that was definitely a castle in the sky that she was keeping entirely a secret, because she did not say that.
She did not know.
Not that she would have at that point either. It would have been kind of shocking if she had. So, I like that Jo, who in many ways is always so has always been so stubborn. But she's at a point where she's so easily able to say, hey, mine is probably the most different from what I thought it should be, and that's okay. And I could relate to that a lot because I mean, how many times have I said they told me I could grow up to be anything, but they forgot to tell me I couldn't grow up to be everything. You know, I've always wanted to do all the things, and I still do. But I really, in a lot of ways, I feel like I hit my stride and really figured out who I was and what I wanted to be when I grew up, somewhere around age 30. And so, and I, like Jo, you know, I love writing, and I am still a writer as far as I'm concerned. Well, and I literally am writing for local newspaper, but part-time, but it's, you know, my novel that my couple different novels that I've been working on for forever. You know, I don't know when I'll get them done. I know that I'll get them done because writing isn't something that I can just set aside. And I mean, I can set aside for time, but it's not something that I can just stop doing. It's kind of, it's like crafting. It's inherent in me. And sometimes I may not, like tonight, be in the mood for it as much, but it's not something I can just stop doing. It's something I have an innate need to do. But there's a difference between I do this because I need to, and that sort of childhood sense of, if I don't get it published and I'm not making money from it, then I somehow have failed to ever do it. And I've always been able to say in words that, like, you know, it's okay if I, you know, I'm a writer because it's in me, and it's okay if I don't have it published, but I didn't really reach that point as much, or reach the point of understanding, you know, I studied writing and I studied graphic design, and I knew that I wanted to do something with them, and I knew that I wanted to do something with them that worked together. But it wasn't until 5 years ago, when I started studying for my MBA, that I really understood what I wanted to do, and what I'm trying to build with Pixie Elegance. And what I thought I wanted, you know, 16 years ago. Wow, that's painful to say. In college, where I thought I was headed in life, wasn't a bad idea or a bad plan or a bad place to want to be headed. Not being beheaded, but it wasn't bad. It's just not the direction that my life has gone, and that's okay. And it's a lot of pressure that our society puts on people to know who they are and what they want to do for the rest of their lives when literally their brains aren't even finished developing yet.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, there are ways that I identify with Joe, especially because of the writer thing. There are ways that I don't because there are some aspects of her personality that are very much more like my next older sister. But that part in particular, I think, even though I would think it would be the writing itself, but it's really the idea that, my life doesn't look like what I thought that it would, and that's okay. And I love my life, and I love, I don't. If I could tell my teenage self something, I don't think I would tell myself, "Hey, you know, you're not gonna be this. Don't put all that energy and effort into that," because I wasn't doing anything wrong pursuing what I was, and I think that it was a good learning experience for me. Um, Even if I was wrong about what role it would take in my life. Um, and that's um yeah, that's something that I think that like this next generation is kind of having that told to them more than we were when we were growing up.
It's
Um,
okay, if you don't know what you want to be.
yeah. Um, because when we were growing up, there was so much like pressure to figure out what you want to be. There was so much, if you don't go to college, you're gonna have wasted your life. There was so much pressure on so much of that, like so much an idea that like college is the be all end all. And I think that people are understanding a lot more the benefits of trade schools and the benefits of just doing what's best for you and not going into debt from going to college. um, if that's not what's best for you. And that, what you want to do with your life when you're 20 may not be the same as when you're 30 or 40 or whatever, and that's okay. Um, so there are several things in Little Women that I think, personally, I know I'm going off on a little bit of a diatribe here, but there are several things in Little Women that maybe haven't aged as well, partly because they're just her attempts at teaching these moralistic things because it's what she had to write, and there are things that just didn't age as well because they're a product of the time and they're just not going to make sense to people of our time, um unless you like study them. But then there are things like that are just timeless, and that's what makes a classic, is something that can stand the test of time. um and that's what makes Little Women a classic, is those things, those sisterly relationships and those realizations and understandings of things that it doesn't matter what society is doing or what moralistic things there are, or what the sumptuary mores are. It's still part of life because it's a universal theme, and it's just gonna be part of life. Anyway, now that I've babbled on that, do either of you have any final thoughts before we talk about the movie and our movie plans and then get headed out for the evening?
No, I'm good. And then it was a nice end to a very, very long book.
Lisa, final thoughts on Little Women?
Took place over like 14 years.
Yes, it does.
Well, I enjoyed the book. I felt like the wrap up was pretty quick. But no, I think it was a lot of great morals for time, a lot of things that still stand the test of time, you know. But eh, didn't always catch my interest. There were some chapters, Amy bored me so bad.
Yeah, she's never been my favorite. There are things I like about Amy, but overall, she's never been my favorite.
Right.
And my poor ship that never was.
Your ship is sank.
Hey.
Sank to the
It makes you
bottom.
feel better. Lori wanted the ship too.
I know.
It was realistic in that respect, though. I've known too many of those would-be couples.
Unrequited love stories.
Yeah. So we are, for anybody who, I'm going to move this back over here. Okay, so we have been talking the past couple sessions about when we were going to be watching the movie, and Lisa and Karen and I discussed it, and we are going to watch the movie between now and the next session. And our next session will not be a live session, it will be an uploaded movie, or an uploaded video, I should say, with editing together reactions that we have throughout watching. That'll be the 1995 Little Women, 1994. So it'll be the 1994 Little Women. The three of us will get together to watch it. We will record reactions. We will splice together a video, and that will be uploaded in place of a regular Bookcraft session on February 6th. And we might do that once again with the 2019, 2020, 2021, whatever year it was, Little Women, or we might not. I don't know yet. We haven't really discussed it. And also I have to find out if there's anywhere that we can, 2019. I have to find out if there's anywhere that we can stream that or not. But we will determine that, and we will also be discussing our next book, which I will be posting probably within the next week on the Pixie Elegance Facebook page, and we'll also mention it in the video that's uploaded the first Tuesday of February. So that's the end of Little Women, guys.
Yeah.
Say
I
farewell to
did
our
not find a
friends.
successful design, but that is okay. I fiddled around with several, and I think I'm almost there.
I did not make it back to my house in Minecraft still.
Hmm.
Still walking.
Still on a mining adventure, I assume.
Yeah. Hold on, wait. Hold on. Let me just really fast. Just there's finally land to be seen somewhere. But that is the direction I'm headed. Because compass, that is the direction toward home. So there's land, finally. That is the first land I've seen since I started out. Way back. I'm not going to go the whole way back.
I'm starting to
That's a
think a
long
boat
way.
would have been faster.
What?
I'm thinking a boat would have been faster.
Oh, a boat definitely would have been faster, but then I would have had to leave markers all along the way anyway.
Yeah, she needed to get back to her mining area.
This is from the mining area to home.
Right, you need a pathway back
And
and forth.
I need, yeah, exactly that. Yes.
I totally get it.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Karen, what'd you get done?
One circle. Just Good.
Ooh. It says ooh.
I'm a knot.
Sometimes you feel like a knot. All right. Where is the thing? All right. We will have our video uploaded in a couple weeks, in which we will talk to everybody, but we will not be there personally to be having the conversation because it will not be a live stream that time. So it will be at least a month before our next live stream, possibly a month and a half, depending on what we decide.